Hey, it's Father Dave again. We've been exploring this problem of evil, is what it's called, and specifically asking the question, why might God create an imperfect world that includes natural evils? So we made the distinction between moral evil and natural evils last time in our reflection. And now we want to start to posit some of the good that can come out of the world as being created imperfect, that is, including natural evils, things that might cause suffering. And I'm going to be very honest here. I'm basically stealing all of this content from Father Robert Spitzer, who has a wonderful website called the Magis Center, a lot of faith and reason, just wonderful articles there. But he posits 5 different opportunities that come to us as humans that help us fulfill our highest human capacities because the world was created imperfect, because suffering is a possibility, right? So God didn't create us in this pleasure bubble, where nothing would ever go wrong and we'd never feel any pain, we'd never suffer in any way. He created the world imperfect, an imperfect natural order. And here's some of the things that are being posited. The first reason for an imperfect world is the opportunity for identity transformation. The second, the opportunity for natural virtues. The third, the opportunity for love, agape love, as we would call it. The fourth is the opportunity for common cause towards the common good. And the fifth, the opportunity to build the kingdom of God. Okay, maybe none of that means anything to you right now. We're going to explore each of them separately in separate videos. So that first reason for an imperfect world, the opportunity for identity transformation. And here it's important for us to kind of know what human fulfillment is about, right? There's different levels of happiness, different things that we're pursuing in life. That lead to happiness, and some of them, kind of the lower order ones, give us happiness momentarily, but there are other kinds of happiness that are more pervasive, more deep, more enduring. These are kind of the transcendental level of happiness, right? So I eat a hamburger, I feel great, and then 2 minutes later I'm hungry again. Okay, it didn't last, it didn't satisfy a deep longing. I accomplish something. I do well. I get a promotion. I feel good about that, right? That is another kind of happiness. It makes me feel better for a longer time, but it's still not lasting. It's not the most pervasive. I find something that's worth serving, something that's worth pouring my life out for, and I devote myself to that. There's an even deeper level of satisfaction and happiness that comes from putting myself at the service of others. And the highest level of happiness has to do with the transcendentals, what is true, what is good, what is beautiful. Really, it's our search for God. It's the spiritual aspect of life that potentially leads to an eternal satisfaction, right? Eternal fulfillment. Okay, so there's these levels of happiness, and what happens in life is that we make one of these levels dominant. And if the world were not imperfect, we would basically settle for the lowest level of happiness. Why is that? Well, the idea here is that, if I never felt any pain, as long as I'm feeling pleasure now, there'd be no reason for me to search for anything more, for more meaning, for more happiness, for more fulfillment. I don't know if you remember that movie, The Truman Show. The idea here was that basically it was a reality TV show built upon this guy's life. Everyone in his life is an actor. He actually lives in this dome. He doesn't know it, but they built up all of these fears so that he never tries to leave his little town and meet people beyond his normal acquaintances, right? So he's just kind of stuck here without longing for something more. Of course, in the movie, that he discovers this desire for something more, right? So when everything's perfect, right, he's there and he's satisfied. But because the world is imperfect, because those lower order things don't lead to the enduring happiness, because they're imperfect, then I'm longing for more, right? Even when I have success and when I meet my goal, and then it's like, oh, but it wasn't as fulfilling as I thought. There's still something missing, right? That emptiness, the experience of vulnerability and weakness is something that makes us strive for something higher, right? Rather than getting stuck in the lower level happiness, satisfaction of my biological desires or instincts, right? The fact that the world is imperfect, the fact that I suffer, is something that actually becomes an opportunity to launch me into identity transformation. That's where this one gets its title. That I'm going to seek my identity in something higher, something beyond. Okay. We can think of AA, for example. One of the principles there, someone struggling with an addiction, stuck in the lower level of pursuing just the gratification of this one desire, right? It's essential for them to admit that there's a higher power and that they are powerless. The very powerlessness is what permits them to launch out of this lower level and to seek some deeper satisfaction. And I'll let them speak for themselves, but it seems that that this is seen over and over again, that acknowledgement of the higher power is something that frees the human spirit. When we talk about the reality of death, right, there's a limit to my days on this earth. It's there. It's got this psychological finality. It happens. My life here is over. It's something that compels us to make a decision about our lives, what's most important, what's meaningful, right? The very fact that we're not in this pleasure bubble, we're not just going to, cruise down the lazy river of life forever, makes us search for meaning, makes us search for what's good, and so on. It drives us towards those higher levels of fulfillment. So, maybe just a very silly analogy for this identity transformation, but when we talk about great sports teams, right, usually they have come up against some controversy, some loss that was devastating or difficult, some injury, right? And that challenge is what forges this great spirit that they take on to become a great team. If they're just kind of like cruising through, that's when things are going to get cut out from under them eventually, because they're not striving for the highest, for the greatest. So the fact that the world is imperfect, the fact that the natural order includes things such as suffering, can bring about this good of us as humans with our freedom, seeking for something greater, seeking identity transformation. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense, but we're going to take all 5 of these together to try to grasp sort of the reason. So if you're not quite there yet, patience, and thanks for listening. God bless you.